Out Tuesday with licensed professional counselor Yunetta Spring.
All right, y'all, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. It is Talking Out Tuesday. Listen, man, y'all help me welcome our therapy expert, licensed professional counselor, Yunetta Spring. All right, Yunetta, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Rickey. How y'all doing this morning?
Man, blessed and highly favored. I know you got some good stuff for us today.
Yes. So, listen, y'all know we've been on this mindfulness, and I plan to talk about supporting Black women for Women's History Month. But we got this stuff going on with the Oscars, so let's go ahead and get into that a little bit more. I know y'all talked about it a lot yesterday.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about was just the beautiful example of support that Cory Booker offered Ketanji Brown Jackson, during that moment that I'm sure a lot of you all have been seeing, last week. And then a couple of days ago, we saw a different type of support, and I use that term, loosely, but both of them were very emotional, right? One was met with validation and affirmation, and the other was met with violence and aggression. Right. And one thing I always say, and I said it on here a few times, is if it's hysterical, it's historical, right? So the stronger the reaction is, the further back it goes.
Right.
So what we witnessed in the present with both of these individuals is historic. But when I say historic, I mean it's a reflection of a personal trauma history, right? And when we get triggered, we not only react to what is in front of us, but we are also reacting to what happened to us and what we witnessed in the past or what we experienced in the past. And another thing I always say is trauma freezes our memories. And then our triggers come and they unthaw them, right?
Oh, wow.
So what we witnessed, in my opinion, was a full-on trauma response, and what I'm speaking of is, the Oscar situation. One thing we got to be mindful of, because I know we're like choosing sides and, we don't condone violence or anything like that. But there's a difference between an excuse, a reason, and what is reasonable. So when we make excuses for people, we try to lessen the blame, or we try to defend, and we try to justify behavior. But a reason says, I understand why and how this happened, but you still have to take responsibility for the actions. I'm not saying it's okay, but I understand how and why a person may have responded that way. And just because we have a reason for how we respond does not make our behavior reasonable.
Right.
It doesn't make it okay. And if we don't know how to navigate our triggers, we are going to be responding in unreasonable ways. We can't be reasonable if we aren't aware of our triggers and we don't know how to respond to that. So I want to leave some space if y'all have anything to share.
No, we really appreciate that. That's a good perspective. You pretty much, I didn't understand, didn't know the psychological and the clinical terms or whatever. But, that is definitely a lesson learned or whatever, because that's what a lot of people were saying about some of the, that he was definitely triggered from something, in the past. And we just hate it happened. So what happened with me? Why did I lose sleep over that? And it bothered me so bad, and why a lot of us took that so personal. Why you think that was?
Well, I think, everybody has their different reasons. I think it connects to all of our stories differently. From the perspective of a comedian, Rickey, I could see how that could have been triggering for you, because we're telling jokes. You're telling jokes, right? And to think that at any moment, if I say or do something that is upsetting to someone, that they can respond to me in a violent way, that's activating. Right? So understanding that anger is valid. There is nothing wrong with being angry, but the way you choose to express that anger, can't be condoned or justified. Another interesting thing that I found was that in 2020, Chris Rock talked about his childhood trauma too, and that he's been in therapy, and that he has a nonverbal learning disorder, which kind of is very similar to the autism, the spectrum, or having Asperger's, which makes it hard for him to understand social cues and makes it difficult to for him to he's very literal. Right. So he can say things that are very offensive and inappropriate, but that's a part of his challenge too. So I thought that was interesting, because sometimes the things that we struggle with, are oftentimes connected to our professions or, how we function and things like that. So really getting us to understand that we can support Black women by supporting them, by standing up for them, by speaking up for them, and the things that directly impact them. But that does not have to be met with aggression and violence.
Right. Hey, thank you so much. Let everybody know how they can reach you.
Yeah, so you can reach me on social media at Springforth Counseling, Yunetta Spring on social media, or you can text the word spring to 55444. My website is springforthcounseling.org.
All right, y'all. Now, of course, Talking Out Tuesday is not meant to be a replacement for actually going to therapy, but it's a start, and you can always get more information on Yunetta's website, springforthcounseling.org. Hey, thank you, Yunetta. All right, y'all. More Rickey Smiley Morning Show coming up.